Right, one of the real useful tools that we have in our toolbox for any programming language, but for C being no exception, is the idea of loops. All right, we're just going to look at the web page and navigate to the schedule and to the tutorials for week 2, and we're just going to go through a little bit of information about loops. Now, what they do is if you have an operation to go through, it could be one line or it could be several lines of stuff that you need to go through. What they allow you to do is, rather than running many lines, adding many of those lines or code chunks sequentially to your script, it allows you to repeatedly recycle those lines over and over, usually set to some condition for when you should stop. Now, C has a few of these. One of them is the while loop, while true, true being a Boolean expression. Now, if we just put while true, then this implies that we want this to run forever. If we never change the value of true, it will just run forever. It's equivalent to the forever run block in Scratch that you encountered in week 1. We can just kind of look at that. If we go to the sandbox, what we've done is I've created some code here. I'm just going to comment out this code. And save that and go to the top. And what I've done is I've created some code in this script that creates a whole program. I've got a main statement with open brackets and closing brackets. I've got a while true, and then a print statement in print. And if we just compile and run this, it's just going to run forever in infinity. So you can hit Control C to break an infinity loop like that. So that just demonstrates, what we're going to do. Now, much more typical implementation of while is you have some kind of Boolean expression that actually waits for some condition to be reached and then stops. So it does something until it reaches a stopping point. That is equivalent to the Scratch repeat until. It's a bit weird because repeat until is reversed from the logic of while something is true until it isn't true. This is while it's not true until it is true. But it's the closest thing in Scratch. And I've got a little program to just demonstrate that, where if we remove these comments, we can see the syntax highlighting of here. I've initialized a variable, an integer, to start at 0, and then I set my Boolean expression while my number is less than 3. We're going to print our number, and then I have an increment statement to reset and increment my number by 1. So if we just compile and run that, we see we only get 3 iterations of that. It starts at, my number would start at 0. It would make a print. My number would then be converted to have the value 1. 1 is less than 3. It would print again. Then my number becomes 2. 2 is less than 3. It would print again. Then my number becomes 3. 3 is not less than 3, and so it would break. So that's what's going on here. Now we have a do loop, runs very similarly to a while loop, and it's just do something within the curly braces while a Boolean expression is true, and then there would be some addition to that. I'm not going to demonstrate that one. Another real important one is the for loop that repeats something for a definitive number of times that you define in the for loop, and that's like the repeat block in Scratch, and it has three little blocks here. I think I show it on the next page. That there's a start condition. So here we're doing both a declaration that a variable exists and we're assigning it to it. You probably remember that's an initialization step. Then we have a Boolean expression here while I is less than 10. So as long as this is true, the for loop will run us another time, and then we increment the value of I. So I've got one to demonstrate a for loop. For loops are, when you start encountering them, they're a bit funny. Here I've got I set to 0, I less than 6, I plus plus. Here I've added a variable to print out. We're just going to print out the values of I on each of those lines just to see what's going on. Just going to save that, make it, run it, and we can see, we can actually see what the control variable is doing on each of these lines. So those are the three that we're going to use. You're going to use probably all of these three and maybe some others during the course of this module: while, the do while, and the for loop. And that's all I have to say about that.